It's 1951 and the previous year's Best Actor winner, Broderick Crawford, is announcing the nominees for Best Actress.
The nominations for the Best Actress are Miss Anne Baxter in All About Eve, 20th Century Fox. Miss Betty Davis, All About Eve, 20th Century Fox. Miss Judy Holiday in Born Yesterday, Columbia. Eleanor Parker in Caged, Warner Brothers. And Miss Gloria Swanson in Sunset Boulevard, Paramount.
If you are in any way interested about the Oscars, then this is most likely the lineup you spent the most time arguing about. A race to the finish line between two of the most legendary dramatic performances in cinema history. The ongoing debate if Anne Baxter's decision to go lead caused the so-called vote splitting. A forgotten dramatic performance that is still admired by all who saw it. And a comedic performance that apparently came out of nowhere to snatch the award in the end. Yes, this race will live in Oscar history forever.
Amen.
Now, in this video, I do not want to discuss the nominated performances, tell you my personal choice for the win, or answer the question if Judy Holiday's triumph was really the kind of epic upset that a lot of people consider it to be today. This is for another time. Instead, I want to discuss how we got to this moment. How Judy Holliday fell into the role of Billy Dawn on the stage to enormous success, and how it took years to convince the studio that she should get a chance to recreate her part on the big screen. And how a screen legend helped to tip the scales in her direction. Born Yesterday is a comedy about a junkyard tycoon named Harry who comes to Washington for some dirty business deals with a corrupt congressman. When he realizes that his uneducated girlfriend Billy causes him severe embarrassment, he hires a young, idealistic journalist to smarten her up. And I assume you can guess where things go from there. Author Garson Kanin wrote the part of Billy specifically with his good friend Jean Arthur in mind. He was an uncredited screenwriter for her movie The More the Merrier, which got her the, shamefully, only Oscar nomination of her career. They had already aimed to collaborate earlier, but World War II kind of interrupted these plans. When the idea for Born Yesterday began to take shape, Garson Kanin wired Jean, "I'm ready for you," to which she replied, "I'm ready for you." Jean Arthur then joined the project in 1945. It would be the first time for her to appear live on the stage in 11 years. According to some sources, Jean learned the part of Billy in only 3 days. She got the manuscript on a Sunday, memorized the role by Wednesday, and was rehearsing her part without prompting by Friday. The Broadway premiere for Born Yesterday was scheduled for January 29, 1946. In December 45, the production began its pre-Broadway run in New Haven, Boston, and Philadelphia. The first time audiences got to see Jean Arthur in the role of Billy was on December 20th at the Schubert Theatre in New Haven. The production then moved on to the Wilbur Theatre in Boston for further tryouts. It's not easy to pinpoint what exactly happened during the time in Boston. Obviously, a lot of this is gossip and speculation, but I'll try to summarize the most important details. The general coverage in newspapers was that Jean Arthur became ill. Reports range from the flu to stomach ailments. It seems most likely that the notoriously shy and insecure actress got stage fright, which then also affected her health. However, the media obviously also blamed temperament and disappointment with her reviews for her absences. Radio actor Paul Douglas, who got the part of Harry after the first choice Broderick Crawford declined as he did not want to work with Jean Arthur, got the biggest raves for his performance and, according to early reviews, overshadowed Jean Arthur's Billy. During the Boston run, her missing performances were taken over by her understudy Mary Laszlo, who otherwise had a silent role as a manicurist. One local editor wrote, "Jean Arthur couldn't appear, so her understudy took her part." The manager made the announcement before the play started. A gasp of dismay went through the audience. The manager said, "After the first act you can have your money back if you didn't like the play." The audience sat through the entire play and at the end gave Miss Arthur's understudy a great big hand. So the producers clearly had a great play. However, they still needed the right actress to bring the production all the way to Broadway. And that would definitely not be Jean Arthur, because on January 11th, the LA Times reported that, due to illness, she had dropped out of Born Yesterday for good. With the opening in Philadelphia only a couple of days later and the premiere on Broadway in less than a month, Born Yesterday needed a miracle.
Hey, Billy!
Judy Holiday started her career as a member of a nightclub act called The Reviewers. Among the other group members were Betty Compton and Adolph Green. She then made her Broadway debut in 1945's Kiss Them For Me and had minor, unsatisfying movie parts in the Gene Crane vehicle Winged Victory, directed by George Cukor.
You've had a baby, Ruth. But I've had so little. So little. Sometimes it's almost worse with a baby, Helen. It breaks my heart. He kisses his picture of Daddy every morning. Sometimes when he laughs, it's Irving's laugh. When he turns his head to look at me, it's Irving. And I want to cry.
And the Carmen Miranda movie Something for the Boys.
She's hearing things. Nutty as a fruit.
No, she isn't. That happened here once before to Maisie Clancy. She was a polisher and she got carborundum in her teeth.
She got what?
She did. She got the dust from the carborundum wheel in the fillings of her teeth, and she was hearing broadcasts all the time.
Again, it's difficult to find out all exact details, but it seems that either Garson Kanin himself or his agent was familiar with Judy's work and saw her together with producer Max Gordon after Jean Arthur left the play. Both immediately realized that Judy had everything that they wanted for the role. And again, an actress had to learn the part of Billy in only a couple of days. But Jean Arthur learned all the lines in time for a rehearsal. Judy only had 3 days overall until she would have to face the audience in Philadelphia. To learn the part of Billy, she kept herself awake with lots of coffee and threw up more than once due to exhaustion and nervousness. But from all that can be read, Judy walked on the stage in Philadelphia and gave a pitch-perfect performance. She had already created Billy's signature walk and voice and gave a completely original and unique characterization.
Ba-boom, da-da-dum, ba-boom, boom, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Do you mind?
She was of course extremely nervous during that performance, bursting into tears every time she walked off stage. But the audience cheered and gave her a 20 minutes long ovation at the end. The Philadelphia Inquirer said she emerged as a new name of stellar potential in the theater and lauded her amazingly perfect performance, calling her perfectly cast. Everybody knew that they had struck gold with Judy, and preparations were made for the Broadway premiere. The first performance was pushed back a couple of days to February 4th to give Judy a bit more time to prepare and to create some buzz for this unknown actress who took over one of the most coveted roles of the season in only a couple of days. New York was full of anticipation. And again, Judy did not disappoint and had critics eating out of her hand, who praised her for having the finest natural comic talent ever seen. The play was an enormous hit too and ran for almost 4 years with more than 1,600 performances, still holding the position as the 48th longest running Broadway show in history.
But take it easy or you'll never make it.
Oh, don't worry, we'll make it. It's a clear case of predestination.
What?
Look it up.
When a play is successful in New York, Hollywood is not far and studios were immediately interested in the movie rights for Born Yesterday. Particularly interested was Harry Cohn, president and co-founder of Columbia. Arthur Garson Kanin had a strong dislike for Cohn, so he said that he wouldn't sell him the movie rights even for $1 million. In return, Harry Cohn offered a record $1 million and the play was his. When you think how important Judy Holiday was to the success of Born Yesterday, it would be logical to assume that she was a strong contender for the role in the movie version. But no. From a financial point of view, you might understand this decision. Judy Holiday had barely any experience as a movie actress and was no big name for moviegoers. If you invest $1 million in a play, you expect to get something out of it, and a bankable star would most likely bring in more cash than a newcomer. There was also no real public outcry about the casting process, as there was later, for example, with Julie Andrews and My Fair Lady. Judy was clearly associated with the part of Billy, but it was still very common to recast plays when they made it to the big screen, and Julie Andrews had been a bigger name with audiences beyond the stage due to her various television appearances. Judy Holiday, on the other hand, was only known for her stage work at this point. But let's be honest, Harry Cohn was also an extremely unlikable character and most of all didn't think that Judy had the looks to be a movie star, allegedly referring to her as that fat Jewish broad. And so began a long, almost unparalleled 2.5 year search for another actress to bring Billy Dawn to the big screen. The press actually referred to the long and difficult process to find the female lead as the biggest talent quest since the search for Scarlett O'Hara a couple of years earlier. Newspapers regularly buzzed with updates about any possible casting rumors. Hedda Hopper wrote, "Correspondents spotting a strange female on the lot would think, testing for Born Yesterday," so a new rumor would hit the public print. Overall, more than 30 actresses were considered for the role and 10 given screen tests. It's not clear exactly who made these tests, but the names that were circling in the press the most were Rita Hayworth, who either did not want to do the role or was considered not suitable, Evelyn Keyes, who had played Scarlett O'Hara's sister in Gone with the Wind and was very eager to do the part, Gloria Graham, who apparently was not released from her studio for a test, Lucille Ball, who either wanted to do the role or didn't want to do it, depending on who you ask, and then the likes of Lana Turner, Betty Hutton, Linda Darnell, Mary McDonald, Mary Wilson, and Jean Parker. If the search for Billy was like the search for Scarlett, then John Sterling was the Paulette Goddard in this situation, as she seems to have come closer to the role than anyone else besides Judy. She was actually her understudy on Broadway. And while Hollywood was looking for the right Billy Dawn, Judy Holiday continued to play her on the stage without being involved in the movie version at all. But things would change very soon. Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy were looking for a new movie project and found it in the comedy Adam's Rib, written by none other than Ruth Gordon and husband Garson Kanin, and directed by George Cukor. They also knew of the upcoming movie version of Born Yesterday, even though George Cukor was not attached to it yet. And they, like a lot of other A-listers in Hollywood, were big fans of Judy's stage performance. So they came up with an idea. Adam's Rib had an important supporting role that asked for a skilled comedic actress. Why not cast Judy Holiday in this part, build up her profile as a movie actress and show everyone, but particularly Harry Cohn, that she could triumph on the screen just as easily as on the stage. And so, after more than 1,200 performances on Broadway, Judy made her final bow to come to Hollywood and play Doris Attinger, a woman on trial for trying to shoot her cheating husband.
Now look here, Doris.
Shut up, you! Shut up! My dear husband!
Doris, please, please! No, Doris, no!
Due to the circumstances of the casting, Adam's Rib is often referred to as a screen test for Judy Holiday. And in a way it was. She had the chance to show both her humanity and her comedic talents in the role. And she was also helped immensely by Katharine Hepburn, who constantly insisted on getting Judy the best camera angles and handed all their scenes together to her. Look how she remains at the side of the frame to give all attention to Judy.
So then I bought some chocolate nut bars and I went outside of his office and I waited the whole afternoon. And I kept eating the candy bars and waiting until he come out. And then I followed him. And then I shot him.
And after you shot him, how did you feel then?
Hungry.
And Kate also made sure that all eyes would be on Judy during her big courtroom scene.
I gave the camera my back.
You gave the camera your back?
My back.
Can you just explain that a little bit for people
right
who
under
don't
her
understand?
face.
Yeah.
And it was a small part, and she was brilliant in it. And she had just done, I think, Born Yesterday. And she wanted desperately to do. And I think how I sold her was to say, we will do a shot of you in a gorgeous costume, and we'll see to it that Harry Cohn looks at it, so that you'll get that part. And we did that. We did virtually a test in a marvelous-looking dress, shirt, or whatever.
Beyond that, Katharine Hepburn also did her best to spread the word about Judy's talents and how she stole the picture right from under everyone's nose. Even so far to make it seem that she was jealous of Judy and had her, quote, gnashing her teeth. Journalists who visited the set were also shown early rushes of Judy's work, and word of mouth created a lot of very high anticipation for her first big screen performance. And all this early buzz also reached the ears of Harry Cohn. And so, while working on Adam's Rib, Judy was finally invited to do her own screen test for Born Yesterday. However, Harry Cohn was still not in Judy's corner, and the atmosphere of the screen test was very hostile. Judy recalled how the test was on a Sunday, and not any Sunday but Father's Day, and all technicians had to come in to work because of her. She later described how, I could see that the crew was sore as a boil for having to report to the studio at 7 in the morning to test another dame. Charlie Vidor, who directed me, was in a hassle with the studio at the time, and Brod Crawford, who was to play opposite me, had tested with so many girls he was weary of it. I couldn't have been tested under worse circumstances. However, the screen test apparently did show some results. It seems that following the test, there was another meeting between Columbia and Judy Holiday to discuss the possibility of her being cast as Billy. However, both sides could not agree on the terms of such a deal. Columbia demanded a 7-year contract with 3 movies per year, but after her previous negative experiences in Hollywood and her general preference for the stage, Judy did not want to commit herself as a full-time movie actress. And Columbia was still doubtful about her ability to make the movie a success to offer her any other conditions. So Judy continued working on Adam's Rib, and Harry Cohn continued to look for another actress, apparently using Judy's screen test as a benchmark, showing it to other contestants and telling them to do it like her. But things would finally change when Adam's Rib opened in November 1949. Like she had done before, Judy again exceeded all expectations. Reviewers wrote, succeeding in being screamingly funny and very pathetic, Miss Holiday does one of the best bits of acting that has ever been done on the screen. She is wonderful. Miss Holiday may prove to be the most notable screen discovery of 1949. She is kept in the background most of the time, but she makes every line and gesture count heavily. She steals scene after scene. Judy had shown once and for all that her talents were not limited to the stage, but shine just as brightly on the big screen. And finally, Harry Cohn was convinced and offered Judy the lead in Born Yesterday under her own conditions. Instead of 3 movies per year, she would make 7 movies overall during the next 7 years, but would otherwise be free to work on the stage. And so, in January 1950, one of the most time-consuming casting processes came to an end. If the search for Scarlett O'Hara led to the perfect casting of an unknown British actress, then this talent search ended up with the most obvious choice from the start. The final principal role was cast with William Holden in April that year, and production on Born Yesterday began in June 1950. To qualify for the Oscars, the movie had its premiere on December 25th, and critics again raved about Judy. And the rest, as they say, is history.
The winner is Judy Holiday.
Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments, please let me know below or on Twitter.